All right, I'm here with YouTube superstar Tom Lawrence. Tom is an MSP who started a YouTube channel, and he's actually managed to get it up to 178,000 subscribers, which I think is awesome. So I've been following Tom for 2 years. Really started when I started our site because I was looking at like MSPs and what they're doing from a content perspective, and it's been awesome to see him grow. So welcome, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It has been a fun journey and an unexpected one, but I've made a lot of interesting friends along the way. So that's what matters, right? Had a lot of fun.
So I want to just get right into the journey because I think that's what's most important is like, where were you if you put yourself in the shoes of a lot of MSPs that maybe want to start doing YouTube marketing or, even video or any type of content, they're obviously not at 178,000 subscribers. So take me back to like when you first started the channel and where you were at, why you did it, and that kind of first phase of growth.
So the first, to roll back a little bit further, because it's what leads into it, is I liked doing public speaking. I was always having fun. You put me at a hacker convention, Linux conference, I'm there. I like that. But I leveraged some of that, my desire, so to speak, to teach people technology or talk about it, was I was doing some marketing for my business in that way. I would focus a lot on social media, or I have this other talk I've given years ago and continue to like to update every year called Protecting the Digital You. Now I did this to business owners. I actually coordinated with some of the banks and things like that to put content on for them. But when someone asked me like, hey, where can I get a copy of this video? I'm like, I don't know, I didn't record it. And but I know how YouTube works, I think. I don't know, I could probably upload it. And this was actually at a Linux conference I was at, open source conference, and it was a firewall video I did. And so that's why so many of my very first long form popular videos were firewall videos. It was just kind of a place to throw them. And, as you get followers, you kind of, you start the spaghetti method. I have left the cringeworthy videos up, my old ones that are bad. But if I ever want to know how bad I was, I can just always go watch them again. And for those of you that think you create this frame and people are like, oh, you're so good at it. I'm like, no, I have proof I wasn't, and I've left it up for others to understand the journey. It's cringeworthy. Don't binge it. It's not that great. But there's a long iterative process of putting together, understanding what your audience is looking for. And then it took me even longer to figure out that I'm kind of bad at marketing, as I didn't even think to market myself. I was just throwing videos out there to throw videos out there. So that was, matter of fact, there's so much of laptop repair videos I have because I thought people wanted to learn about laptop repair.
So what is that frame of time from when you started the channel until now?
So from when I really put the time into the channel, not this random video here once a month, like where I actually turned it into something, we got a new building in 2017. And one of the reasons we got the new building was we wanted to expand and we wanted to build a studio, because I said, I think I want to put a lot of effort into this YouTube. We were starting to put a few more videos out in 2017, but then mid 2017 is when we built the new studio. And that's when I said, all right, now I'm committing actual larger sums of dollars to this. We put that focus in, like, this is what we're going to do. And from 2017 to 2018 was still a lot of throwing spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks. 2018, we kind of got a cadence down. By 2019, I said, I could probably ask people to hire us for projects for these videos. That seems like something that'd be pretty easy to do, right? So I added a little pre-roll in there, and that's actually when it took off, that people go, oh, we can hire you. You don't just talk about them. And I'm like, I guess you always could, but I never thought about presenting it that way. Most people just focus on monetizing things by having, welcome to this mattress company. They'll build or whatever you want to sell. Always some YouTubers are always selling some VPN or what is it? The HelloFresh, insert name of whatever you've heard 20 times on a podcast. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I would rather, get as much content out there without repetitiveness and advertise for myself. And that's led to a pretty massive amount of bookings. That's been exponential growth for my companies from 2019 into 2020, all the way here into 2021. So there's a little bit of a business strategy, but it wasn't as thought out. I like to be very honest. I did not sit down and draw a business plan and lay all this out. Matter of fact, I was told by business consultants that this plan was a terrible idea, and telling people how to do things was just completely wrong, and they wouldn't agree with me. I said, well, I think you're wrong. And that was kind of how that conversation went. And they go, you're paying me. So, I mean, okay.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, I'm sure they said, oh, they don't want to know how to do it. They just want you to do it for them, right? Like
Yeah.
that's always the thing that you get. But there's obviously some value in building the attention machine that you've built, you know?
Yeah.
So, and kind of let's walk a little bit further back because I want to know like what, you know, early on, like how were you acquiring viewers? Was it just organic or did you put any sort of paid YouTube ads or anything that would give you that initial boost?
100% full grown organic.
Nice.
A lot of the reason why is there is a hate for self promotion on places like Reddit. Now, if I posted my video as me on Reddit, for example, on a topic, it's not likely that anyone would do anything like, oh, what are you self promoting and start hating on it right away. There's like a tradition on some of the platforms of doing that. I do tweet things out, but I didn't have a following on Twitter at all. Matter of fact, I wasn't really using Twitter until the last year. If you look at the trend of followers on Twitter, like I had a Twitter account because it was a placeholder, though it didn't really do anything. And then I really started tweeting it out. So there's a little bit of that, but it's not paid at all. It's all completely organic. One of the other tricks, and for people looking to do this, is start crossing over with other YouTubers. If you have a commonality, matter of fact, it's the opposite. Normally, you wouldn't say hang out with an MSP who's exactly in your territory, getting your clients and does everything you do exactly the same. But on YouTube, that's true. If someone's covering those topics, having another YouTube person who does exactly the same topics is beneficial to both channels all the time. So finding and hanging out with and crossing over with some of those people actually will give you these boosts here and there. Part of it too, being in the MSP community and knowing what people are searching for, because they're the same things I'm searching for or have to study on, that leans into discoverability because they're already searching for it. There just isn't a result. Or here's a real secret: go look at videos with high number of views, but there are no audio on them. They have someone opening up Notepad, walking you through typing a command in Notepad, tabbing Notepad out of the way, showing you some basic function. You're like, there's 30,000 views on this video and it's barely watchable, but I guess the only solution I found to this problem is this person's video. If you just remake that same video, and in some ways I did that for two reasons, because someone was wrong on the internet, and we're technicians, we know if someone's wrong on the internet, they can't be wrong. I got to prove them right. There was a few of those videos like that on specifically firewalls. I'm like, that person did this wrong. That's not the secure way to do this. So right away, I'm like, I got to make a video that's better, that tells you how to do it right, because this is an insecure way to set this up. So, you know, as my wife teases me, is someone wrong on the internet, honey? You can't come to bed? Yes, someone's wrong on the internet. I got to argue in this forum over here. So there's kind of a multitude of reasons, but as long as you take the time, and you know, when we work in this business, you get articulate at doing these things. You gain a lot of skills because you see the same problems all the time. And it's just really the other side of it of, hey, why not drop that knowledge out there, share that knowledge with others. And from that, you actually will get feedback how to improve your process. It's not just dropping it out there. I've learned so much by putting content on YouTube. Back to that, you're never as wrong as when you're wrong on the internet. But people feedback to me like better methodologies, or hey, have you tried this? I'm like, I didn't know that existed. That's so cool. And you know, and then I take that knowledge and add it to my own, and you know, bring it back out to the crowd again.
What I think is really cool about this is like you're not afraid to be yourself and you're not afraid to talk about the topics that you want to talk about, like that are purely technical, and you go all in with them. And I think, you know, everybody that is probably starting right now is trying to decide, like, do I pander to the crowd? You know, like, am I trying to talk to my end customer? And how do I do that? How do I make them interested in this? And it seems like what you did is you just said, all right, I'm just going to solve these problems. I'm going to let these people come to me, and then I'm going to figure out how to monetize it. And like you had mentioned earlier, that has produced a lot of co-managed opportunities, which are very big right now. And so now you're actually getting people that are coming to you that may work in-house somewhere, and then you're building off of those opportunities. Is that sort of like the path now to generating leads and obviously monetizing the channel?
Yeah, we decided a lot in 2020 that, you know, the question comes up, what's your ideal client? What do you like? And we started looking at the clients that we think fit the best for what our skill sets are. And we love the project work. We love the server work. We don't like fixing printers, and we don't like helping people solve Outlook problems. I mean, we'll do it, but it's there turns out to be a lot of people who work inside at these businesses who spend a lot of time helping their end users, rightfully so, keep working with their enterprise software, keep working with quirks and problems with QuickBooks that they use internally or Outlook, and make sure the printers work. But then when they go, we need to replace a firewall. Ooh, that sounds complicated. We did it 4 years ago. Its life cycle's coming up and it's going to be a project. We love getting those type of managed clients because we like that work. We're doing it all the time. So we've developed a skill set for it. We can help coach that internal IT person. We're speaking the same language as them. They can handle, solving the day-to-day problems that are very critical to the business of, making sure the printers print, but we can help them with some of those projects. We can also help them with some of the cybersecurity stuff. So that's where that co-managed opportunity comes in, because researching product takes time. It takes time as an MSP to look anytime there's a new product. So if they want to use the stack that we're using and they just want to outsource some of that work to that in that co-managed way, we found out, especially because so much of these inbound leads are coming from everywhere. They're not just, we're in the Detroit area, and that's not where these leads are coming from. They're coming from around the world, very literally. So we'll take on those clients from all over, and this is all stuff we do remotely. They have the hands-on. I have someone who speaks tech, on there, so it's not going to be an unplugged wire. That part's been checked before they call us with a problem. It's going to be, some type of issue with the VPN in a way it's not talking to the AD server or something more in depth, and that's where we want to specialize in building that stack, setting it up for them. So yeah, it's been kind of the co-manage has been the opportunity, and it's always an iterative process of defining things and figuring out exactly where you want to be. You don't always know until you start doing it, and then keep narrowing it down, going, this is what we're really good at.
And I think you bring up a really good point of, you are on YouTube, you're not just getting local people that are watching it, right? And so
Right.
if you're going to take this route and kind of like launch one of these strategies, you should know that going in, and you should be prepared for that type of success. Like, if this does work, we're going to get people from all over watching this, and we need to figure out how do we now convert that into something that is actually like fits our business. If we even have anything that fits that business, like if you're just a local IT shop that doesn't really have a strong remote presence and doesn't have the infrastructure to really do that, maybe video isn't for you, or maybe you should figure out a different way to go about it, right?
Yeah. And there's still value in creating content to help educate your clients. I mean,
Mhm.
even if you're a local MSP and only targeting local, and you just want to create some basic, very helpful, not marketing, but very helpful videos. Like, here's how you sort something. Here's how you do something in Excel. Here's how you do something. Even if they're short clips, you'll find clients may appreciate that. They may find you from a discoverability standpoint. Making a quick video on how to use a password managers. Don't we all want our clients using password managers one way or another? Just because they're all writing it on sticky notes, and we're just like, stop that. But we can't just say stop that without giving them a solution. And the less tech savvy, who their core focus isn't technology, like us in the MSP space, they're not as easy to say just use LastPass or insert name of whatever your favorite password manager is. So giving them a use case, showing them how to do it in small videos still can be very helpful. You engage with clients, and this swings back to, as in 2021, I think we're going to get more back to the in-person meetings, back to something I did years ago. Contacted local credit unions who are looking for a reason to have business owners there. And sometimes business owners get sick of being sold by investors who take all that money you guys are making and just stuck it in my investment fund over here. Let me explain how mutual funds work. Instead, you have someone like me comes in there and talks about general, high overview, tangible, not deep in the weeds at all, talks. And you can still have those as a video for those that missed it. And it, becomes marketing. So there's still strategies around it that work, not just what I do for YouTube. Something you did mention on is I do kind of follow what I want to do. That's kind of my joke of why I was actually listening to CGP Gray, who's a big YouTuber as well. If you're familiar with some of his videos, he did a Q&A with Gray is what it's called. What it's like to be on YouTube for 10 years. And it is a lot about just following what you want to do. And he brings it up very pointedly in that video where he's like, yeah, sometimes there's better ways to monetize it. But if you make it all about monetization, it doesn't always work out. So a lot of my stuff, sometimes I just find something interesting and I throw it on YouTube. There's no value. There's no reason that anyone would call me on it. It's just, I like this content. I like to talk about this. So as long as I think it brings value and is aligned with the brand I represent online of getting people into technology, I go ahead and do it. So I do think it's important, if you're thinking about a YouTube strategy, it becomes obvious if you're just there to sell things. And you probably have noticed in the MSP space, there's always some tooling company that they call it their online education, but you also realize, no, they just want to brag about their product and insert, look how our product solves a problem is really what those videos become about. And they go, why don't anyone watch these things? I'm like, well, I just watched a 30-minute sales job of how you solve all the problems.
Right. I'm more of a written content, type
Yeah.
of format, but I totally agree with that. Like I try to just empty the tank. Like sometimes there's an article that I know won't perform well, like in our newsletter, or wherever, like on the site. But I write it anyway because it's like that's what I'm thinking about. That's what's kind of like nagging at me at that moment, and it's like, okay, well, I got to just get this out so that I can get to the next one. You know, and
Yeah.
so like what is that, was there one video where you thought that like, and maybe it's like from an analytics standpoint you can even see it, is like was there kind of like this explosion of there's this one video that just kind of blew up and most of your acquisition has come from those like maybe one, two, or three videos?
So that's becomes a unusual topic. Some of the highest viewing videos are not the ones that converted. And
Mhm.
I talked to another person, another MSP that's actually getting started on doing YouTube, and they've been working at it for a little while, but their mind was blown when I told them some of the lowest viewing videos have converted to some of the biggest clients. You're like, I always thought it was all about views. I'm like, no, no, no. So I do have some really large views. People loved me talking about wiring and cabling, and some of the wiring cabling videos have absolutely turned huge number of views. Mixed on whether or not those really convert. They're fun. I taught people how to do some of the cabling and how we do wall fishes and things like that. Definitely high view count. But a video that turned into just a wild number of conversions, and I think still only has like 10,000 views, is one of them I did years ago on Hunter Slabs. So I talked about their product, and that actually got the attention of several large VCs who have now worked with me. And so
Oh, cool.
from the highest conversion rate, yeah, the few views in that, over years, it's only accumulated so many thousand views. The conversion rate in terms of clients that came from it was really, really high, especially because it ended up in the Twitter and LinkedIn of a couple large venture capitalists actually tweeting it out. And everyone's like, who are you? And all these people reach out to me. How do you know him? I'm like, who is that person? He doesn't even ring a bell. And they're like, look him up. And I'm like, oh, he's worth a lot of money. And so, yeah, there's not always a direct correlation on it. There's lots of random things that throw out there. It's really figuring out what YouTube, either the algorithm or the people watching it, push up, and which ones just kind of go unnoticed. I am 1,200 videos in. I am no more closer to understanding the algorithm or beating it.
Yeah. I do agree. I know from our standpoint of blog articles, like our top performing articles organically really are only top performing because they're kind of a generic answer to a topic, right? It's like how to do this on this LinkedIn feature. And so really that doesn't help us as far as getting subscribers because those people get to the site and they're like, this is a great answer to this question, but I'm not even an MSP. So like, why am I even here? But like, so I'm sure there's a lot of that too once you start, because what's interesting is when you start to look at these numbers and they're very high, there's actual eyeballs behind those views. You forget
Yes.
that sometimes, and
Well,
so, yeah, tell me about that.
so this is an interesting thing, and I call it, scratching the itch. So if I have a video that specifically describes how to solve a problem, and I have a lot of videos like that, my tutorials, how to set up this type of server, how to fix WireGuard or whatever, they don't care about subscribing to me at all. They came there, they had the problem, I had the solution, I scratched the itch. They're not going to hit subscribe. They're probably not going to hit the like button. So as you mentioned beginning, right now I got like just under 180,000 people as of March 3rd, 2021 that follow my channel. But rolling backwards, and I shared this, I think, on LinkedIn, and I've published some of these stats I have in another video. Right now, we get 1.2 million unique viewers over the last 90 days. And you're like, why don't they all subscribe? Well, because I'm just scratching their itches. They needed some problem. They needed a solution. So those videos still lead to, and it does lead to inbound leads. It's not all about subscribers. Subscribers are great if I want to pitch someone on how big my channel is, because it's a very tangible to say this YouTuber has this many people that regularly follow them. And that's an easy, tangible thing to understand. Talking about how many unique viewers, as you know, really is what matters. It's not like the same person visiting my site 179,000 times doesn't do anything. But 179,000 people visiting my site different, or 1.2 million unique people visiting my site, that actually means something. Even if they only visited it once, I know I helped them with this particular article, this particular video. So you end up with these different statistics. I also don't know where the upper limit is when you're making more generalized content. If you look at someone, Marquez Brownlee, who does a lot of phone and high-end tech videos of high-end consumer tech, yeah, that has a mass appeal to a general audience. I think he's got like 11 or 12 million subscribers right now. I don't know where I care about actually following all the content Tom releases. I don't know where the top of that is. There's a lot of MSPs, there's a lot of people in tech that may follow me, but I don't know how many. I know there's not near as many as who are interested in the latest iPhone.
Right. So if you could give yourself one piece of advice, like when you started, now you're, a few years in, like what would that be?
Oh, that's tough. Quit thinking about the gadgets as much. So I tried to really follow this and not go gadget crazy. And I bring that up because this is a challenge, especially as technical people getting into YouTube. They'll go spend $5,000, $10,000 on gear. They don't know what gear they want. And I tried not to do that. I still have gear in boxes and stuff I sold that I don't know why I bought that just depreciated in value. So if you work in smaller constraints to trade, really work on your craft. What is it that you're going to do? Because I thought I was going to do all kinds of product shots. So I bought all kinds of cool stuff for that is still in a box. That's not.
So you're saying that, as far as the quality of the video and all the gear that you would need from a production standpoint, just kind of go simple and get started and then improve over time as you see fit.
Yes. Some of right now I'm using a $2,000 Sony camera, but I still have this Blue Yeti microphone in front of me. Now, this Blue Yeti microphone was about $100 investment, and I had a Logitech C920. It took me years to make videos with my much more expensive equipment that exceeded the views I had on my Logitech C920 and a Yeti microphone. So, once you really focus on the content, and even though I knew this going in, I'm someone who would have preached this just like I'm doing now. Please tell myself I can make a list of things I shouldn't have bought on Amazon. Because I never really used them, and they weren't as helpful as really, really focusing on the content was. And like I said, it's something natural of being a technician. We love toys. Look at all these toys we can tie together, and look at all the fancy things this does. But then, does that really equate to better content? Think about your purpose.
Yeah, and standards are really dropping across the board, right? Like fast content creation is kind of trending up. So there's a lot of people that are just shooting, LinkedIn videos on their iPhone, and then they're throwing it into like an app to put their logo on it and posting it. And so like to the casual observer, it is a little bit difficult to tell the difference unless you have something that's like incredibly high quality and it just has that like wow factor. So like if you just kind of sit in the middle, then it's almost, you might as well go lower end. Is that your opinion?
A little bit. Here's the thing. If you're giving advice that requires good audio, people want to understand what you're saying. So the good news is, I mentioned this microphone. Here I am, money to buy other microphones or whatever, but I'm still using a Blue Yeti microphone, which is still achievable at $100, even used cheaper. But as long as if you're giving advice, you're giving a tutorial, and voice matters, as in they care about the audio quality, at least focus on that part there. The camera, that's the part where you can spend way more than microphones. Don't get me wrong, you can buy expensive microphones as well, but you can spend way more on a camera and it wouldn't do a thing for you, because guess what? I don't even look better in 4K. Turns out no one's here because of my looks. So once you realize they care about what I'm telling them, they care that I'm accurate with my information. They care that they can understand what I've articulated. So focusing on, and this is hard for me still, speaking at a clear and concise cadence, because normally I want to turn the 3x on when I talk. I want to talk as fast as possible because I got stuff to do. So thinking and focusing on that part will actually probably help you grow faster as a channel and get more engagement. And you do look at it, because you look at, let's just throw business advice out there, like someone like Gary Vee, who just has a lot of clips. If Gary Vee had low quality audio, you'd have a hard time with it. But like you said, it can be someone grabbing an iPhone. It doesn't have to be a great video. Matter of fact, multiple times he's just pacing around on a stage. I can close my eyes. I'm like, I know what he looks like. He's wearing different shoes today, probably, but but you care about the things, the words he says, because that's his message. So as long as, if that's what you're trying to convey, you do have the opposite. If you're outside of tech, if you look at someone like Casey Neistat, who became a very popular YouTuber by presenting a lot of things visually and very little. If you take one of his 10-minute clips that have like millions of of views. You watch it, you're like, oh, wait, there's like a paragraph of words in this entire thing. But boy, that visual he did of New York is really wild, or the, what he shared. So you have to think about where you're pushing it and then go from there. So yes, you can get away with really less expensive if, as long as, I say in our space, it's always going to be well presented audio is probably a huge piece of this, because you're giving some advice.
So, just a real quick one. Would you go short form or long form?
Oh, I like long form myself. I have not figured out how to be short, as that last rant I just did. So I'm really have a hard time being short.
And what about frequency? Like, is it a few times a week, once a week? If somebody's starting out, where should they be at?
That's kind of a mystery still. So there's a lot of different advice on it. Some level of consistency helps. And a lot of YouTubers starting out, when they start with this process of, I'm going to publish a video every day, there is some algorithm help you get from that by constantly posting, because you're constantly on there until you get bigger that you can slow it down. I still haven't slowing down. I'm always working on honing things so I can produce more content. I'm doing this in between running a business and everything else. So there's pacing that slows down randomly for me. If you can come up with a 4 or 5 days a week, awesome. As I did really brute force this. Once we got the cadence down, built the studio, and figured out exactly how we wanted to do it, we are rocking out content without delay. And I mean, I've had 8 videos out in a single week. So and this is going to be one of those weeks this week, because I've been doing a lot. I might get even more if I have the time, unless it gets too nice out. Then I'm going outside, because we're having some unusually warm weather here in Detroit for March.
And then, so are you outsourcing or insourcing the editing and production side? And what would you recommend?
Doing it yourself helps a lot. I do all of it top to bottom myself. It's hard to have someone edit, because I know when I have something wrong, and I just pause in my video, leave a blank spot, think about how to say it right, and then you'll see a jump cut in my video where it's right. Now, if someone doesn't understand that you didn't say something, like I said an IP address wrong when I'm supposed to be reading it off the screen, something that's a little harder to tell that it was said wrong, then it becomes harder for someone to edit it. So finding someone to outsource editing, the biggest thing is not to edit. What I mean by that is, when we built the studio, and I have a video on this, we have like a video switcher in real time. So instead of having to put together all the feeds from different angles, like screen sharing, overheads, and things like that, I just use the video switcher. My video production friend, who does this professionally, says, Tom, I can see you switching your video. You should hire someone to switch it. I'm like, I'm not trying to hide the magic here. I'm not trying to create a movie where I'm trading the experience. I don't care that someone watched me press the button and switch from the overhead camera to the front facing camera to my laptop. No worries about it. The microphone right now, in case someone just listening as an audio, is hanging in front of my face. And I'm indifferent about it. I'm not trying to hide the production process. So yeah, go ahead, and I would say, if you can edit yourself, figure out ways to spend the least amount of time editing, because obviously.
Cool. And so one last, I would say, motivational message for somebody that's maybe an MSP that's struggling with this. They're trying it, but it's just not working, right? They're just a couple months in and they're ready to give up. Like, what do you tell them right now?
You just got to get used to talking to dead air. Man, I still, some of my early videos, not that they're really worth watching, they don't have views. And this is common. This is something you play the long game for. And it's not a strategy that has a quick return. Now, you can get lucky. I've known people that just start making a few videos and they get lucky with it right away, because it was a very topical content. It got shared by the right person or mentioned by some large YouTuber. There are exceptions to the rule, as always, but for the most part, you end up just talking to the camera and refreshing the page a lot, going, oh, 3 views. Was that me, or did someone watch my video? 4 views. And I was so excited when it first hit over 1,000, and even that took a long time. When one video got over 1,000 views, you're like, oh, this is exciting. Actually, that many people watched it. And, well, at least some of them are me and my staff refreshing the page. But it takes a huge amount of determination. More so than other platforms. They don't have the immediate effect, because it just takes time. It's video, it's building your audience, finding your voice, finding your brand, and figuring out what the content you want to put out there is, and then having that, long-term people discovering that content. There's no easy shortcuts to the process, especially when you're doing niche content like this. But if you start with what I did, scratch the itch, solve the problem, talk about a topic that people are looking for, that's going to be very helpful.
All right. And so how can our community of MSPs find you?
I am super easy to find. Everything starts at my company, lawrencesystems.com. We have forums that link off of there. I'm easy to find on Twitter, LinkedIn, and we're starting to consolidate all the videos at lawrence.technology. I think that's the right website. Well, it's a new one we just registered. Anyways, you'll find a link to it on there where we're trying to filter it so just our videos are on there. But we do post all the videos, end up as blog posts. That's a little broken as of right now. It may be by the time someone's watching it's a little less broken. We had an incident with our website where a plugin went wrong.
Yeah, that'll happen, right?
That'll happen once in a while. But yeah, we're pretty, for the most part, if you start at lawrencesystems.com and spider out from there, all the links are there to find me on all the different platforms, including my YouTube channel, my Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. Everywhere you can think of online that I've put something.
All right. Thanks a lot. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate it. Thanks.